invite Mr. DeWitt Lee up to do a presentation of the Jackie Robinson Fortitude Award, which he created, and it's been a part of First Fridays for the last 2.5 years. And tonight he'll be presenting the award to BADC, the Black Action Defense Committee. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. DeWitt Lee to the stage.
Greetings, everyone. Who's been up here for the first time upstairs with views? First time? First time upstairs. Oh, wonderful. Well, I want to greet you. I'm sure you've been greeted warmly up to this point, but I think community engagement starts with where you get engaged and where you meet. And I think the fact that we have this meeting place is so crucial to our development. And I encourage all those who were here today to consider this a venue that continue to meet it, because our spirits are here. Right? We're planting the seeds of empowerment here, and I know powerful things are going to take place from this meeting alone. So we are going to start this presentation with a short video that's going to take you through the timeline of the actual existence of the Jackie Robinson Fortitude Award. I do apologize for those who are here on the flank who may not be able to see the screen. Whenever you're ready. So there we have Warren and Sam receiving the very first Jackie Robinson Fortitude Award. Give it up for Warren. This award is presented now by First Fridays as well as the Toronto Community Advisory Board. And some of the recipients are being seen on the screen now. Mr. Fitzroy Gordon, give it up. We hear their names. The late great Austin Clark, the Honorable Margaret Best. Defense Committee. So I welcome you here. A place I've found myself very comfortable, almost home-like. First Fridays for over 22 productive and inspiring years have welcomed thousands of people into spaces around the city to not just break bread, but break down barriers that have stood in the way of our growth as a community. Each and every First Friday, we host the city's who's who. And as you look around the room, you'll see you're among the city leaders. And over the years, we have gone from just being welcome guests to members of our family. And so I'd like to just give thanks to Mr. Warren Sanders for his incredible leadership and bringing us to this point we're in today. Please give it up for Mr. Warren Sanders, the father of First Fridays Toronto. I have a great honor to make tonight's presentation to an organization I believe hands down deserves it. You simply just cannot bring up social justice in Toronto and not reference tonight's honorees, the Black Action Defense Committee. Please make some noise. Please make some noise. We heard a powerful testimony about some of the work that BADC has done that goes unheralded, unannounced until moments like this. And trust me, that's not the only time. And that's not the only occasion. And I'm just so grateful that that testimony was shared today on the day we recognize you with this Jackie Robinson Fortitude Award. Now, this organization has weathered many storms for almost 30 years. And there are members who helped found this organization who we're not able to see today, but they are, of course, with us in spirit. So I'd like to take a moment of silence for prayer and reflection on the life sacrifice for the struggle. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you for your time. Tonight's recipient of the Jackie Robinson Fortitude Award is an organization that can be considered a root of the tree that provides us with a fruit to sustain our existence and fuel our resistance. The Black Action Defense Committee has laid the foundation on which we stand on and fight on today. This award has been presented to a very special segment of our community that has stood the test of time and persevered. They have prospered and produced a wave of change that has formed miles and miles away from shore. And after traveling the distance to land, this wave gets drawn back into the ocean of our community and is blended into new waves, always remaining a part of the movement. The Black Action Defense Committee was a result of something that we unfortunately know too well here in Toronto. The police blatant use of excessive and deadly force when it comes to policing Canadians of Afro-Caribbean descent. When you read the headline of this moment, this catalytic moment, in 1998, the heartless murder of Lester Donaldson, a mentally ill black man by Toronto police, it has the eerie sense of history repeating itself because we're all still targets. You know, when I wrote that, it created a very special, profound vision for me, because I saw blacks with their hands up, peacefully submitting to guns drawn on them by the police, and they're still standing, kneeling, lying down, still, and they're still targets. Unacceptable. And it's that sense of frustration and a championship-like determination to change things that birthed BADC. Many pessimists may look around the conditions of the environment we're in today and say, hey, police brutality is at an all-time high, and disregard for black lives is as well. And it's still going on. Where is the progress? We'll look around the room today, ladies and gentlemen. There is your answer. There is the progress. The spirit and the courage to fight, the intelligence from their experience being passed down into the capable hands of today's leaders. And the resilient fortitude shown by this group and effectiveness, even to this day, is worthy of our admiration and appreciation. The senseless killing of Lester Donaldson in 1988 wasn't an isolated issue. It was just the one that left our community no choice but to organize and mobilize a defense strategy and a black-owned establishment, just like the one we're in today, called the Underground Railroad, 42, very special. People gathered, just like we are here today, to set on a journey that will soon celebrate 30 years of advocacy and, most importantly, action. And tonight, based out of what comes from the gathering of this incredible, passionate group of intelligent people, may find itself infused in conversations 20 years from now as being a launch pad to something great. And as a matter of fact, I know it will. What made BADC so important was that its focus was not just being a watchdog for how the police and justice systems treated us. It was a robust and extremely efficient organization that stands and stood for the rights of blacks and browns in just about every facet of community life and existence. BADC was established as a voluntary, non-profit organization committed to the eradication of racism within the judicial system, the police forces, and all other major Canadian social institutions. And it is still operated, man, by volunteers. The original founders, including Dudley Laws, Charles Roach, make some noise. Sharon Hall, Leonard Farrell, and many more. And tonight we're fortunate to have long-time standing members and comrades of these incredible activists and change agents Brother Kingsley and Brother Logie. Brother Kingsley here shared with me a bit of his history with this organization. He's been there with BADC since its inception, and although his career at the time forced him to operate behind the scenes, he shared with me many inspirational moments he had with the original cast. And you know, that's an interesting word to use, cast, because their lives on most days played out just like a movie, with wiretaps, police bullying, protests, demonstrations, lawsuits, and of course victories. I mean, what's a movie without the underdog having the challenge to conquer? These incredible feats, some and many turning points in our society, was what the community needed. And it was BADC leading the change and the charge. You know, that change and the charge, the two things that BADC has made its practice and legacy for almost 30 years. And we're all here because of it. And on this Thanksgiving weekend, I want you to show your thanks right now. First Friday crowd, make some noise. Make some noise. The late Jackie Robinson, he had to carry the burden of being the first to break through and face our adversaries by himself. BADC also found himself on the front lines of opposition, resilience, and many times ridicule from our own community. You know, there's a quote from our ancestor, Martin Luther King Jr., regarding the difference between words from our enemies and words from our friends. And it's the silence of our friends, and those words as well, that do not support what we're doing. And it's that lack of support from the ones that you're fighting for that hurts the most. And BADC, many times, wounded from within, had to find the fortitude to stay on course and finish the mission. One man who would not leave his post until the mission was complete was the fierce, vocal spokesperson and director of BADC, Dudley Laws. Make some noise. Woo! Who I understand his main concern on his deathbed was the preservation of his beloved BADC. I was told that just prior to his transition, he was giving good news from members of BADC that a large amount of debt has been paid and that the financial health of the organization was well, and it was shortly after that he released the ghost to join the ranks of our heroes from the beginning of time. This man's life was selflessly given to a community that did not always return the love. And he stood for an organization and for a community, along with many freedom fighters like the late great Charles Roach, who will always be considered one of the greatest freedom fighters that the world has ever known. To the opposition, they were the epitome of defiance, but to us, they were symbols of freedom. And today, we can see people from all generations wearing t-shirts that say, Dudley speaks for me. And every time I hear of his heroics, it speaks to me. One message that echoes in my soul, deep in my soul, is, it's your turn. And my question to you is, will you believe? Will you believe that you have a turn to take to inspire the next generation? That's a question I'm asking you that you can feel free to answer if you're prepared to. Will you be ready when it's your turn to lead and set the example?
Time is now.
Time is now. The ongoing goal of BADC has been and continues to be the elimination of racism, particularly as it impacts my community, the black community, by advocacy on policies and practices that are geared towards stifling our progress. Among their accomplishments, the BADC is primarily responsible for the establishment of the SIU, which I've heard mentioned today. This policy change remains in effect today, and BADC is continuing to watch and monitor the progress of the SIU, making sure that it's transparent and effective doing its job. To date, BADC has active class action lawsuits against several municipality institutions across the province. In 2013, they've announced the launch of a $65 million class action lawsuit on racial profiling against the board and the Toronto Police Service. In 2015, the Black Action Defense Committee filed $200 million suit on behalf of 2 complaints in Durham region, joining 2 other lawsuits against Toronto and Peel Police. You see, BADC's reach goes much further than just in Toronto, and because it carries the responsibilities of blacks everywhere, and it's that sense of responsibility and relationship with other communities that have made the work of BADC so impressive, because where they may fall short in membership, they make up in ownership in each task that they take. and embark on. They have challenged the systems with the tools made and designed by the system, demanding resignations, pushing for transparency, bringing tangible changes to human rights, law, and code. They have made landmark changes in immigration, efforts that have led to tens of thousands of our people being landed here. They have made critical changes to our benefit in employment and equity and much more. I would say most importantly, this committee of volunteers has helped steer our community in one of the most desperate and dismal periods when we needed passionate, professional leaders to guide us through an emotional time. They were there and they still are an example of their fortitude. So I would like, in closing, to invite the two members who are here present today, men I consider founding fathers of the movement, to the stage to accept this month's Jackie Robinson Fortitude Award on behalf of the Black Action Defense Committee. On your feet, please. Come on, show your face. Show your face. Show your face.
Tonight, standing here on behalf of the Black Action Defense Committee, I would like to say a big thank you to you, Do It, and to Warren for this award to the Black Action Defense Committee. As Brother Kingsley and myself standing here tonight, we will not be accepting this award just by accepting on us. We are accepting this award and all the elders who has passed away, whose shoulder we're standing on tonight. Right?
Yes.
If you look at this button, I know there's great leaders all around the world, but to me, this man who I walked with, talked with, sat, eat, drink, share the same flat with, I think is the greatest inspiration to me as an individual. This man was never one who think about himself. He gave up his trade, he gave up all of the money that he would be making to work on behalf of African people. You mentioned about the night of his passing. The last thing he said to us, he begged us, please don't let BADC fail. Don't ever let it fall, because there's still a lot of work out there for our African people. So with that in mind, we will continue the fight. And you asked for some young folks, we need some young folks to get involved. We have been pounding the pavement, winter, spring, summer, fall. You know, we've been doing that over the years. And we have decided that we have to change that now. Just by march and a demonstration wouldn't do it. So we decided it's time to march into the courts. That's what we've been doing now. I can tell you we support the Black Lives Matters, because as a young man up there demonstrating and marching, people say, go back where you come from. I want them to tell these young people the same thing. They can't. You're born and go and raised here. They can't tell them that. They look at us as immigrants. You know, go go back, go climb a banana tree. We have heard so many. I mean, even today we're still getting 8 letters mailed to the office, but we won't give them no publicity, so we don't let the media or the police know about it. Because if we do that, we're giving them publicity, and we will not do that. We will continue the struggle. And as I said, we are looking for young folks to come on board. So I know we have short time here, so I don't want to. There's so much that I could tell you about BADC. The work BADC has done with Charles Roach, Aqua Benjamin.
Yes.
Yes. Dr. Aqua Benjamin. Sharon Hall. Colin Curl. And the list goes on. Darren Mead. It's a long list. But today we are still keeping the fight going. And I myself was at one time on the RCMP watch list as a terrorist. It wasn't terrorist in those days, but as an activist. Lost my job because of my support for the laws of the Black Action Defense Committee. So, you know, we have been through a lot. We're still keeping up the fight. So I'm going to ask Brother Kingsley to say a few words.
Well, what I have to say, we are humbled by this presentation to be honored in the name of Jackie Robinson, who did so much to break the color bar in baseball, leading to a united baseball league rather than the Negro League and the other league. We are honored to take this award. Community service is the highest level service next to the service to your Creator.
Yes.
And community service is service to your Creator. And so, there are some of us who find it a duty to serve, not for what we personally can get from that service, but what we are doing for our people and to help them to have a better life.
Yes.
And the struggle has not been easy. I can tell you, prior to BADC, there were numerous organizations. We had the Universal Negro Improvement Association that Marcus Garvey founded. And Dudley Laws is the most passionate, or was the most passionate Garvey I have ever met, outside of Amy Jakes Garvey, from whom I used to take lessons every Friday afternoon. So, with this in mind, I arrived in Canada on the 20th day of March, 1969. At that time, Contrast had published 2 or 3 issues as a bi-weekly paper. And Contrast became the eyes and ears of our community across Canada. Along with that, that same period was steeped in history. The Sir George William University riots took place in February 1969. I arrived here 1 month later.